is still on the table, so these guys still want it. And that's kind of what I like, is the fact that we've got a lot of variables, such as Pippa driving around in a car.
What? Wait,
right,
there was someone just in a buggy. Wait, what is...
We are doing a little bit of, I guess,
why is it always... Why? Oh, this is actually really bad for Oath.
You get around. Oh, you could have jumped in the car with him. Maybe gotten a little bit of assistance. Run away.
Please!
Try to get away. He's trying to get up the hillside. Trying to get a little bit more cover away. He's got the rocks now on one angle for it. Oh, he's still using the tree. This is what you
Why
guys
is it
do.
always a Latin American team?
And it's often always too, isn't it? It feels like
I do feel like well, I mean they do tend to drop for some pretty hot vehicles sometimes, but I feel like we Bail.
Fail.
Just hate to see that.
Not like this. Not like this, Balefrost. Well, Honey Badger's very caught up with what's going on with Casa Grande. There is a dangerous position in where Lauren is playing at. Much, much closer right now. But with a lot of commitment and this only firefight going on from this point, Lauren has to be careful, as he might be revealed to an adapt reposition at any given moment. Oh, Honey Badger, you don't want to go through that door right now. Tries to get a little bit of information.
And there they go. Yes, yes, Systematic. This is exactly what I want to see. Got the headshot. They knew that, or at least they think it's only one, max two. And that they're punishing Honey Badger, which is exactly what they should be doing.
They're too slow. Dignitas is already coming in with more numbers right now, and they're kind of letting it happen. Honey Badger's trying to get a little bit of spray and does take down one of them. And while I love the premise behind it, it's just a little bit too slow, as now Dignitas is forcing these fights, and Dignitas is coming out on top of that. So Systematico's wanted this, and now on the other side, guess what? There's Adapt. So Systematico's down to 1, and it's Lauren that was standing out in the middle of nowhere.
So really nice hold from Dig and good recognition to immediately send people over there. The problem with that is when you get a headshot, you do some damage like that, and you're executing. You can't stand in the middle of the compound trying to throw utility in the way. Like that was a big mistake. I'm sorry, it was a really big mistake.
Into the compound itself.
I mean, even pushing in the compound is fine, but the fact that 2 members of Systematico had utility in their hands while they were pushing instead of gun out, like that's.
Oh, Lauren's trying to get away, but there's so few options. If we can at least get past Adapt. Adapt did so much damage and took down one of his teammates. He does get over this position, but uh-oh. If he continues going south, there's going to be a Fiumbo waiting for him, but looks like he's cutting to the west where there is no one at, so he gets to be king of the mountain for a little while.
Regardless, I still like the idea behind that push from Systematico. It's just execution was a little just not there. Overall, really nice hold, though, from Dig. I'm not going to take that away from Honey Badger as well. You got 2 really clean knocks.
And a very quick response as well.
Yep, those able to save their vehicles here, and they should actually have some decent rotations out of this as well, if they still have to. And 300 is coming in real hot to this compound with the Soniqs. Mime. And it looks like Shrimzy going to have to hold this.
I like the position for this one. Shrimzy goes down, though. 300 rolling through. Neverhore takes a lot of damage. Box taking a lot of damage.
Oh, that was
going to go down. Nice peek coming out from Mime. Get the down and a quick flush. 300 now finding themselves with having to stop for just a moment. SSG roaming around through the hillside back behind this one, but this is going to be a difficult push. I mean, let's be honest. This is like one of those really weird buildings that everybody has had this fight around beforehand. You come in and you know somebody's on the second story and you've got to push up that stairwell. It never feels good.
So, I mean, these are double balk buildings, but I'll tell you what we used to call them. We used to call them shit shows, because fighting in these is just, I mean.
If you haven't had to fight in one of these with Poro before, you never know it before. But Tiggleton with a beautiful angle. Leda just has to run. Mime does go down, but
just juice.
Just
straight juice
there right now. I mean, just popping it off. The other 2 members that are down are just looking at Leda. Leda can't do anything. He's got this little bitty hidey hole that he's going to be working from, but just trying to get away from the Soniqs, because 300 wanted this, but Soniqs coming in, bringing the reinforcements. While they did manage to do some damage, it's just going to be difficult. Leda might have the angle for this one, though.
I mean, nice response from Soniqs. It's, it's unfortunate they lost 2, but I also don't really think Soniqs are terribly worried.
What do you think Extreme and Vox are talking about right now?
Hey, man. What's going on?
I think they see us over here. Should we just hang out? Maybe Leda can actually clutch this. We'll hold it. I mean, if he steps around right now, he could find himself in peace.
I mean, the fact that he just iron sights, nice. Leda's going to find one. That's going to be a clean knock. 1-on-1 now. Definitely doable.
mean, Leda, he's had his clutch potentials inside the past 16 rounds is the problem, and going against Tiggleton, he has himself a throwable to work with, but I don't think that he has a read on exactly where the position is going to go. Nice toss as well. A little bit of a do-si-do around the outside of the building, going to jump back down off of this, seeing if maybe he can get a little bit more information fed over. Tiggleton's going to come in the building at roughly the same time, though, so rotating around positions. With everything that's going on, I believe hwinn fed the information over. Hey, coming up, and Leda holds the line for his squad and manages to survive. Unfortunately, the other two members are
What cost, Matt? What cost?
It's a moral victory, Godspeed.
I mean, you never know. I don't want to count Leda out. Maybe he wins another game. We've seen solos win before, so.
Are you feeling really good for Leda right now?
I'm feeling good to the fact that he's alive and he got the shift. I'm not feeling good to the fact that there's probably going to be a team that wants that compound and will probably try to crash or at least take it from him.
I get the feeling he's having that similar mindset right now with the circle the way it is shifted down. Still have a little bit of the canal that's going to be in play. Gascans,
that's always
Wildcard and Young Kings moving.
That's always the double-edged sword when you're a solo and you get the shift. You're like, oh heck yes, I'm alone.
Everybody wants my house. I mean. Yeah. It's not like he can risk potentially even moving. I mean, he might be able to find himself a hidey hole. You can see eUnited.
Yeah. I also just really like the fact that they're clearing this as a team.
I mean, you never know. I mean, you got to play it safe, and if anything, that could be a little bit problematic.
Oh, systematicoos. Did he see him?
Oh, yep. Alo. Close range.
Alo doesn't lose those. Close range god, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, TSM a little bit more on the quiet side today, but with the first circle that we saw, and specifically the last game that we saw, it was chaotic, to say the least. So we know the fact that they're going to be jockeying for a couple positions, and they're going to get themselves control of the top.
I like this for TSM FTX, actually in the circle, not having to chase it. This is nice.
And really a strong high ground position, too.
Yep, they're on Potato Hill. Definitely going to have a strong position up there, as well as kind of little trenches and new stuff to play around with there. And yeah, regardless of where this shifts, they should have a decent rotation coming into, north, south, east, west, doesn't matter. Wildcard as well. I mean, they're kind of staying in those double barns there just to the east of Pachinki, which is another good position to rotate off of, on top of the fact they just defend their compound if someone's trying to crash, or even use the west side to try to rotate, unless they go, southwest.
They're throwing mollies in there, but he's not inside of it, so it doesn't get caught. Retaliative. Just don't be no! Retaliative easily managed to take that one down. It's all right, Leda. You won the fight that mattered earlier, so you're still a hero in our hearts.
Trigger discipline, though. I mean, he was immediately on the that was really that kind of sucked, because
it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking situation.
Oh, for sure. I'm not hating on him at all. I'm just saying that just sucks. That's unfortunate.
No, I mean, that's going to be the message that I specifically send Leda. Did you hear what Godspeed said about you?
I'm a Leda fan. He's cool.
I would venture to say so. Circle's way it's going to pop up right now. Looks like Dignitas and Young Kings might have themselves a little bit of a situation. Synergy's going to need to make a rotate in. We do have Space Station Gaming back behind that one, as well as Gascans, but I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of, like, quote-unquote cover in this, because you're looking at the buildings. But there's a lot of dips in different positions to play around.
There's a decent amount to play terrain-wise in this circle for sure, especially up towards Potato Hill. There's a lot of different like dips, as you said, little ridges to play. I actually really like what Traga's doing, and they're not necessarily spreading too far to the north, or sorry, too far to the center. They're kind of staying just to the north there and holding out the teams that want to come in. That's actually a really good compound. It is elevated to just kind of keep people out, and that's exactly what they're doing. Even having Jayu
behind this. What's going on with Synergy? Good read on how to use the hillside to get a little bit more distance, but Sparking doesn't care. He's got that low ground point, gets a nice drop onto Pippa, and now it gets a little bit more hazardous with every single inch further in that you drive. Can be rolling through. Fortunately, Dignitas are fighting to the north of this position, so managing to squeak back by yet again. But with this, they're going to find themselves in a position between TSM, Dignitas, and potentially Young Kings, depending on when they opt in stopping.
That should actually be a huge indicator for eUnited. The fact that they saw the knock and they heard the shots coming, they should know now that Dig is just off to their northeast, and they should probably prepare for that. It looks like kind of looks like they're actually positioning for that, which is perfect, because this is exactly what they should do based off the information they got from that rotation off of Synergy. And Synergy now struggling even against Dignitas yet again. It's like second game, I think.
Dignitas wanting to gatekeep out everybody to the north, and we've got Synergy that comes up back behind him. So with this, a very firm commitment into positioning and saying the fact that, nope, you don't get to play around here. We're at least going to make it miserable for you. While this is going on, we did also have Space Station Gaming coming back in behind Dignitas, but no big push coming in just quite yet. Another good grenade's going to land right on top of Synergy. And let's also throw on a Molotov. Fisher, you're in a lot of trouble trying to get away. It's going to go down, and Dignitas made that look clean.
They did. They backed off a little bit. They let them kind of get in the compound, and then they trapped him. Again, very well played from the Troglodytes. Space Station, though, they took their time. They're not coming up to this fight. Potentially a scuffle here just on the northeast, and then Young Kings could actually hear that, and if they time it right, oh, and the shift is so good as well.
Oh, Rusty Zera had the angle onto 2 of SSG, and they go down. Rest of Troglodytes is going to have the high ground to look back at what's going on. Roth goes down. It's now just going to be Sharp Shot that's down the hillside. Rusty Zera has taken half damage from a grenade. Looks like they might be just trying to do a little bit of a rescue operation with him. Sharp Shot, though,
Kings needs to go, man. They can see this. They can hear this fight going. They're not even in the circle.
I mean, right now, if you're an SSG fan, you've just got to pray that maybe Dignitas creates enough of a problem with it. Sharp Shot trying to carve his own path to get into position, but it's very minimal with what's going on. Young Kings also might encroach on the other side of this one. Sharp Shot just trying to use whatever utility can. Maybe can get Oldless back up. But it looks like Troglodytes just pushing down through this one. They now have distance. They have the hillside between them and Dignitas. Dignitas is still just trying to close the distance onto it, and that might be beneficiary for it, but it's just so many throwables.
Oh,
I mean, God, there's just nowhere for SSG to go, and Troglodytes is just taking a stranglehold of the north.
Yes, Trog has done a phenomenal job so far with their position, really utilizing every aspect of it. And meanwhile, on the other side of the circle, TSM has just devastated Gascans.
Oh, they're going to spot out there.
Beautiful.
It's
nice
just
shots, pretty. There we go.
You're seeing just solid defend control positions right now. These guys roaming out, realizing the fact that where threats are coming from, trying to make sure the grass as it goes. Dignitas doing the same as they're now trying to move into position. Punage is not quite with them. He's inside the vehicle, should be rolling up in just 1 second. But Troglodytes is now down to 2. They've got 7 kills, but they've got a couple of problems as they've been loud for quite a while. They've been harassing a couple of teams that now want vengeance, because remember, this all started with them harassing Young Kings at Dignitas.
Yep.
And that comes to be a problem sometimes, as now it's going to be 2 versus 2 squads.
And to give some credit to Young Kings, they did finally move up and now starting to take more control over that north side, so that's good to see. But what?
BT, this is not the neighborhood you want to be in right now. So you got Dignitas on 1 point, manages to run through. Another member is going to go down. Just 1 member up for Black Tiger. Manages to get a little bit of a spray as he comes through with it. But, I mean, where do you go? There's so many people shooting at you. Young King's on the other side of it. Now he has to run back over. He's got Dignitas on another angle. Maybe run him over. Can you send it in? Maybe the car's going to connect. No, it's not.
How are the enemy teams going to know what you're doing when you don't even know?
It's next level mind game.
It's truly, that was something.
That was something
by Black Tigers.
Oath now trying to make a play onto TSM's positioning. Multiple members of TSM now down at this point as they're trying to crest the hillside. We do have Adapt and Wildcard fighting on the other point around this hill. It looks like Oath is going to get a little bit more comfy, cozy up on this point. And it's going to be Penta that's having to run potentially around to where Wildcard and Adapt are fighting.
Young Kings with a nice wipe. There we go. That's what I'm talking about, Young Kings. I've been really wanting to see this team just get more aggressive and take more initiative, and that's exactly what they need to do. But now they need to deal with Dignitas, who has pretty much been harassing the northeast side of the circle this entire time.
Yeah, and they're going to need to make an approach into this one. Really, Dignitas' options are to try to bust through the point we're seeing right now, moving into Young Kings' point, or maybe going down to eUnited. Fima's also going to have to move, and you can see our boy Penta just right up in the thick. Heard the fact of what was going on with Wildcard. I'm willing to bet that he was hoping that this fight would break out a little bit more and maybe he could get something into it or maybe just sneak in back behind him. But with what's going on, everything has kind of calmed down for just a minute. Oath in a very strong point, as Oath is want to do at this point in the circle. Let's be real. They know how to navigate and
Oath is chilling.
Points. So they're perfectly fine to let everybody else just damage each other and then walk into their sightline.
On top of the fact that TSM kind of got picked apart up on that hill, as he's pretty sure Penta's the only one left on that team. He also has to deal with Wildcard, as well as the last 2 members of Adapt. As we're looking at this fight, this is a really wide spread for Young Kings.
Oh man,
potentially punished, but also could work out for them.
This is coming up roses. All the other squads except for Oath right now are all potentially about to fight. Quick exchange going on between Dignitas and Young Kings. It looks like it's going to be eUnited and Fume, but it's south. Dignitas having that a little bit better of a position right now and how they're trying to play around it. Already have one of the members down as well. Sparking is going to go ahead and connect, get a headshot onto another one. Yet 2 of the Young Kings members that were playing to the north are now down. It's just going to be the guys that are bunkered down inside this compound. And look, Dignitas reads it. They're all rolling in together. They know that they have the numbers advantage onto this, and Young Kings trying to defend this up from 2 different buildings are going to have some trouble coming their way.
It's just confusing because Young Kings had the potential to have so much control on the side, but instead, I don't know if they were trying to leave some of the bodies they got. I mean, nice knock coming out from Shamboy, but yeah, they basically invited this to happen, and because of that, it's just down to nicoos, and I am not really sure what he can do.
I mean, he's already got a damage helmet, tries to go for spray, reveals his position. They're just coming in. They just flood around that point. Dignitas doesn't lose too much in that position. Meanwhile, we're going to pop back over into the Adapt wildcard fight with Oath refereeing from the high ground point onto this one. Quick exchange. That means that we are going to see wildcard taking out Adapt, but now there's still the high ground threat of Oath looking into them and the constant vigilance that's coming out from Penta to see if maybe he can strike at some.
Still alive. I mean, Penta could have a huge potential backstab here.
Well, here's the other fight we're talking about breaking down. It's going to be eUnited Valiant leading right into Capitan's face, and so Fiumba versus eUnited, so you can get control of the south. So Fiumba repositioning around this, looks like they might be thinking about playing the low side of this hill. Meanwhile, eUnited trying to get a little bit more information based off where Valiant is at the point. Corsac's playing really far back behind this, but doesn't really have vision on anything that's going on. Waldo's kind of left by his own. Finally, Corsac crests the hillside, but Fiumba feels like they're getting a little more control, and there we go! Penta just walks up right back behind and takes down Relo.
Very huge opportunity now for Penta to really start to mix things up. And then on the other side here, you know, eUnited not even having a chance to fight as for Valiant. Los going down immediately. That's going to be a nice lock coming out from Emmy. And a finish on a Corsac. Fiumba is just chef's kiss right now.
That was a beautiful read, and getting Emmy into that position to set that up, just a great job and understanding how to use the train to your advantage from that point forward. So now we're sitting at our top four. Dignitas sitting at 4, Fiumba sitting at 4, Oath at 2, and TSM at 1. Our boy Penta still hanging up towards the top of that hillside. So really it's going to be Dignitas to the north, who've now managed to find themselves a crate, Fiumba to the south, and our remnants to the west.
Again, Penta has to very carefully pick his fights. If another fight breaks up potentially between Oath and Fiumba, that's another chance for play this however they want.
They can just maneuver any point that they want to take from it. And once these fights break out, that just means the fact that they're going to know exactly where they're going to want to move. So with this quick exchange going off between Fiumba and Oath, Dignitas knows that they can move into the center. Fiumba is going to go ahead and group around to the south, see if maybe they can come back behind this one. Kickstart's had to retreat from position, not even inside the safe zone. And there is just going to be a stacked Fiumba coming up on this angle. Kickstart's got a little bit of vision, takes the shots with it, trying to retreat as he goes, as I think that he is very aware that there are a ton of people coming off from that one. But keep in mind, while this is going on, Penta keeps a solid bead on where he thinks Kickstart's at, and if Kickstart's not careful, he could find himself jumping into another set of jaws.
And I'm fairly sure that Penta knows there's only one member of Oath at this point. I'm sure his team has been relaying the kill feed for him as well, on top of the fact that he did get one himself.
Going to be... Well, so on the other side is Sparking. That's going to be playing into the east and then competing against the potential solos coming in. It's going to be Punaj and Shinboy, with Shinboy being a little bit of a mover in between it. As every single person right now trying to get a little bit more information, as Fiumba is starting to crest into an area that might be a little bit scary. They're going to send a couple people inside of a vehicle, roll in, try to get into a point, and actually going to wrap down into a pretty decent spot. Emmy's going to provide a little bit of covering fire as it moves for this. And yes, we do see Fiumba manage to get into a very scary position.
Nice
They're almost
nades.
coming in, but that means that now they can throw back onto this one, and a quick switch between them as Penta is going to find Emmy and go for the flush onto it. While this is happening, it's going to be Fiumba that gets a little bit of a shot between the two of them, and now it's being a little bit more problematic. Keep in mind, Kickstart is still alive as it moves forward. Capitan still needs to make his way forward into this position, and it's going to be a very, very hazardous to try to do so, but Kickstart, I think, has a read on what's going on and realize where the numbers lie, and might end up backstabbing right into Dignitas' position.
I mean, that would be the play. Unfortunately, he's just now been spotted. So they know at least one member here is on towards the east, and that's going to be a beautiful grenade. And the thing I love about what Dignitas has done, they've essentially backed up a little bit, just enough to let Fiumba come in and basically hang themselves in the position that they've chosen. And now look at the way that Dig is spread out. The biggest concern I have is just Honey getting knocked. If Honey doesn't get knocked, this should be a very clean game for Dignitas.
They just have so much information, and they kind of even end up having circle control. Yes, they're not right up on top of it, but they've got good vision for how it's going to move, and they know exactly how Fiumba is going to have to move to get into that point. So with the way that this is going through, now it's time for throwables. They know exactly where it's at.
It could be
If they
so
cook it
juicy.
well enough, bounce goes a little bit too far. Still enough to rattle the helmets of what's going on with Fiumba. Quick follow-through is going to go ahead and knock out their car, denying cover and opening up a new sight line for Honey Badger. Now Honey Badger trying to prep up grenades as well. It's going to be time to start lining up these bolts as Kapitan did manage to get inside the circle, but you can see Fiumba just has nowhere to go. At least getting a little bit of harassing damage. They're just trying to enforce every bit of their will onto Fiumba. Kapitan now down, and Dignitas just won't even let them move. Silzen now the last one up, finally gets a knock onto him, but it's just going to be quickly retaliated. And Dignitas with 16 kills as we're getting some high kill count victories.
I think the biggest tragedy of that game is the fact that I don't think Punich fired a single bullet from that off.
Man.
He wanted to so bad. You could see when he had that molly too. He just tried to throw it. Just get out of my head. I just need to fire this off.